Captain Vextar pressed his four-fingered hand against the cool metal of his ship's observation deck. His yellow eyes stared into the empty space ahead. The patrol mission had been routine until now. 3 weeks of checking the outer rim systems. For pirates or smugglers. Nothing exciting ever happened out here. "Captain," his communications officer called out. Her voice carried a strange tone. "I'm getting something on long-range sensors." Vextar turned his lizard-like head toward the bridge. "What kind of something?" I'm not sure, sir. It's big. Really big." The captain walked quickly to his command chair. Around him, his crew of mixed alien species worked at their stations. The Galactic Council patrol ship Swift Current was small but fast. It carried representatives from 6 different species, all working together to keep peace in this quiet sector. "Put it on screen," Vextar ordered. The main display flickered to life. At first, there was nothing but stars. Then the sensor operator, a blue-skinned Zelani named Corvash, pointed at a dark spot. "There, sir. Computer says it's artificial." "Magnify." The image grew larger. What appeared was impossible. A ship so massive that it blocked out the stars behind it. The hull stretched beyond the edges of their screen. Dark metal surfaces covered in strange patterns and lights. Towers and structures jutted out from the main body like a floating city. "By the void," whispered Engineer Holmes, a short, hairy creature from the mining worlds. "What is that thing?" Vextar felt his mouth go dry. In his 20 years with the Galactic Council, he had seen ships from every known species, massive Zenthurian battlecruisers, elegant Etherian science vessels, even the legendary Titan class, ships that protected the core worlds. This thing made them all look like toys. "Size estimate," he managed to say. Corvash worked at his console for several minutes. His blue face grew pale. "Captain, the computer keeps giving me error messages. Best guess, 40 kilometers long, maybe more." Silence fell over the bridge. 40 kilometers. The largest known ship in the galaxy was the Zenthurian flagship at 8 kilometers. This monster was 5 times that size. "Sir," the communications officer said softly. "It's moving." They watched as the giant ship slowly turned. As it moved, they could see more details. Massive gun batteries lined its sides. Launch bays big enough to hold entire fleets. What looked like industrial facilities built into the hull. And lights. Thousands of lights indicating a ship that was very much alive. "Unknown vessel," Vextar said into his communication system. "This is Captain Vextar of the Galactic Council ship Swift Current. Please identify yourself." They waited. Long minutes passed with no response. Then their communication system crackled to life. "This is the human vessel Leviathan. We come in. Peace and seek contact with galactic civilization." The voice was calm and pleasant. But the word human sent a chill through the bridge. Humans were new to the galaxy. Most species had heard rumors. A young race from a small world called Earth. They had only recently developed faster-than-light travel. No one expected them to have ships like this. "Did he say human?" Holmes whispered. Vextar nodded slowly. "Acknowledged, Leviathan. We welcome you to this sector. Might we arrange a meeting?" "Of course. We would be honored to meet with representatives of the Galactic Council." The captain looked around his bridge. His crew stared back with wide eyes. First contact with a new species was always important, but this felt different. This felt dangerous. "We're prepared to receive a diplomatic party aboard our ship," Vextar offered. "Thank you, Captain Vextar. However, perhaps it would be better if you visited us. Our ship has proper facilities for guests." Corvash leaned over to whisper in the captain's ear. "Sir, their ship could hold 1,000 vessels our size. What if it's a trap?" Vextar considered this, but curiosity won over caution. "Very well. We'll send a shuttle." "Excellent. Transmitting coordinates for our diplomatic bay." As the coordinates appeared on their screen, Holmes whistled low. "Look at the size of that bay. It's bigger than most space stations." 20 minutes. Later, Vextar found himself on a shuttle with his top officers. They approached the human ship slowly. The closer they got, the more impossible it seemed. The hull stretched in all directions like a metal planet. Gun turrets the size of buildings tracked their movement, but the weapons didn't feel threatening. More like guards watching over a home. "Entering diplomatic bay now," their pilot announced. The bay doors opened to reveal a space that could have held a small city. Their shuttle landed on a platform marked with lights. As they stepped out, Vextar saw dozens of other landing platforms. Empty now, but clearly designed for many visitors. A group of humans waited for them. They looked similar to several known species, but with subtle differences. Smoother skin, different bone structure, and eyes that seemed to see everything. The leader stepped forward. "Captain Vextar, welcome aboard the Leviathan. I am Admiral Chen, commanding officer of this vessel." The human was smaller than Vextar expected. Average height, gray hair, wearing a simple uniform. Nothing about her suggested someone who commanded a ship that could destroy planets. "Admiral Chen," Vextar replied. "This is quite a ship you have here." Chen smiled. "Thank you. She's served us well on our journey from Earth. Would you like a tour?" As they walked through the corridors, Vextar tried to understand what he was seeing. The passages were wide enough for vehicles. The walls were lined with displays showing ship status, crew rotations, and what looked like production schedules. Everything was clean, efficient, and impossibly vast. "How many crew do you carry?" asked Corvash. "Currently about 2 million, Chen replied casually. "Though we can support up to 5 million if needed." Holmes stumbled. 5 million? "The Leviathan is designed for long voyages," Chen explained. "We need to be self-sufficient for decades, or centuries. That requires a large population to maintain all systems." They entered what Chen called the observation deck. Windows stretched from floor to ceiling, showing the vast bulk of the ship extending in both directions. In the distance, they could see other ships, smaller than the Leviathan but still massive by galactic standards. "You have a fleet," Vextar observed. "A small one, 7 ships total. We left Earth as an exploration group." Chen pointed to the other vessels. "The Behemoth handles heavy industry. The Titan focuses on research. The others have their specialties." "Exploration?" Corvash's voice cracked. "These are exploration ships?" Chen nodded. "We knew space could be dangerous. Earth's history taught us to prepare for the worst. Better to have capability you don't need than need capability you don't have." They visited the hydroponics bays next. Vast chambers filled with growing plants. The air smelled of earth and life. Farm workers tended crops that would feed millions. Beyond that, they saw manufacturing centers where raw materials became finished goods, shipyards where smaller vessels were built and repaired. "This is a mobile civilization," Vextar realized. "In a way, yes," Chen agreed. "Humans learned early that survival requires backup plans. If something happened to Earth, these ships could preserve our species and culture." In the command center, they met more humans. Scientists, engineers, military officers, and civilians, all working together with quiet efficiency. The main screen showed star maps covering thousands of light years. Trade routes, resource locations, and potential colony sites were marked in detail. "You've been busy," Holmes noted. "We've been thorough," Chen corrected. "Before making contact, we wanted to understand local space, know who lived here, what they needed, how we might fit in." A younger human approached with a data pad. "Admiral, the survey teams have finished mapping the asteroid fields in systems 7 through 12, rich in rare metals. The mining ships could extract enough material to build 3 more Leviathan-class vessels." Chen thanked the officer and turned back to her guests. "As you can see, we think in terms of long-term planning. Later, in Chen's office, Vextar asked the question that had been bothering him. "Admiral, why build ships this large? Surely smaller vessels would be more practical." Chen poured drinks for everyone, a mild stimulant that humans called coffee. "Captain, let me tell you about Earth's history. We've faced ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanoes, and dozens of near-extinction events. Every time we survived because some humans prepared for the worst case." She walked to a wall display showing images of Earth, beautiful but scarred by ancient catastrophes. "When we reached space, we applied the same thinking. What if our sun died? What if aliens were hostile? What if we encountered threats we couldn't imagine? The answer was always the same. Build bigger, plan better, prepare for anything." "But surely the Galactic Council maintains peace," Corvash protested. "I'm sure you do excellent work," Chen replied, "but humans have learned that peace is maintained by strength. These ships ensure we can defend ourselves and help others who need it." As the meeting continued, Vextar began to understand something troubling. To humans, the Leviathan wasn't a weapon of war. It was a tool for survival. They had built it, not to conquer, but to endure. Yet the result was the same: a ship that could challenge the combined fleets of the galaxy. "What are your intentions in this region?" Vextar asked. Humanity's idea of an exploration ship could conquer solar systems. Outside his window, the Leviathan hung in space like a metal moon. Lights twinkled across its surface as millions of humans went about their daily lives, building, planning, preparing for whatever the universe might throw at them. Vextar realized that first contact had just changed everything. The galaxy had been introduced to a species that didn't just join galactic civilization. They came ready to protect it, improve it, or rebuild it from scratch if necessary. The captain shivered and went back to his report. Somehow he had to explain to the Council that humanity's monsters were actually their protectors, whether the galaxy wanted protection or not. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called within hours of Captain Vextar's initial report. Representatives from 47 species gathered in the Great Chamber on Nexus Prime. The air buzzed with nervous energy and translated. Conversations in dozens of languages. Council Speaker Thrain stood at the central podium. Her tall, elegant form commanded attention as her silver hair caught the chamber lights. "We are here to discuss the human contact situation. Captain Vextar, please present your findings." Vextar rose from his seat in the witness box. 3 days had passed since his encounter with the Leviathan, and he still felt shaken. "Honored Council, the humans possess technology and capabilities that exceed our current understanding." "Specifications, Captain," demanded General Korvac, the Zenthurian military representative. His scaled hide gleamed under the lights as he leaned forward. "How big is this ship exactly?" 42 kilometers in length, 16 kilometers in width, 12 kilometers in height. Mass approximately... Vextar paused, checking his notes again. 8 billion tons. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Councillor Yeath, representing the ancient ethereal race, spoke with her voice like wind chimes. "Impossible. No species builds ships that large. The resource requirements alone." "That's what we thought," Vextar replied. "But there's more. They have 7 ships. The smallest is still larger than our biggest dreadnought." The chamber erupted in worried chatter. Thrain called for order. "Captain, you mentioned they claim to be explorers." "Yes, Speaker. Admiral Chen was very clear about their peaceful intentions, but..." Vextar hesitated. "Their idea of exploration equipment could level civilizations." Dr. Helena Voss, the human xenobiologist who had been studying the newcomers, stood up. She was the only human currently on Nexus Prime, having arrived months earlier through different channels. "If I may, Speaker, I've been analyzing the data Captain Vextar provided. The humans aren't lying about their peaceful intent. Explain, Thrain ordered. Human psychology is driven by preparation and worst-case planning. What they call exploration ships are actually mobile colonies designed to survive anything the universe can throw at them. They're not weapons of conquest, they're arcs of survival, General Korvac snorted. Semantics. A ship that size is a strategic threat regardless of intent. General, Dr. Voss continued, I've been in contact with Earth for 6 months. They have over 300 ships of various sizes. The 7 that Captain Vextar encountered are just one exploration group. The silence that followed was deafening. Counselor Yeath's normally calm demeanor cracked. 300 ships? Each the size of small moons? Not all that large, Dr. Voss clarified. But yes, humans build big. Their smallest interstellar vessels are still massive by our standards. Thrain called for a recess. During the break, delegates huddled in worried groups. The mathematics were terrifying. If humans had hundreds of ships like the Leviathan, they possessed more military power than the rest of the galaxy combined. When the session resumed, Admiral Chen herself appeared via holographic link from the Leviathan. Her calm presence filled the chamber as she looked around at the assembled representatives. Honored Council, she began. I understand our ships have caused concern. Please allow me to explain why we build as we do. Thrain nodded. Admiral, the Council would appreciate clarification on your fleet's capabilities and intentions. Chen smiled politely. Of course. But first, let me ask a question. How does galactic civilization handle extinction-level threats? Extinction-level threats? General Korvac leaned forward. We maintain peace through diplomacy and limited military action when necessary. I mean cosmic threats, Chen clarified. Gamma-ray bursts, rogue black holes, solar flares, asteroid impacts. How do you protect entire populations from natural disasters on a galactic scale? The Council representatives looked at each other uncertainly. Such threats were considered acts of fate, too massive for any civilization to address. We relocate populations when possible, Thrain admitted. But truly massive threats are beyond our capabilities. That's where humans think differently, Chen explained. On Earth, we faced regular extinction events. Ice ages that lasted millions of years. Asteroid impacts that killed most life on the planet. Supervolcanoes that blocked out the sun. We learned that survival requires preparation for the impossible, she gestured, and holographic displays showed images of massive engineering projects. Ships under construction in orbital yards, industrial complexes that stretched across entire moons. Every human ship is designed with one goal: ensure the species survives no matter what happens. The Leviathan-class vessels can support millions of people for centuries. They carry the knowledge, culture, and genetic diversity needed to restart civilization. But the weapons, Counselor Yeath pressed. Captain Vextar described devastating armaments. Space is dangerous, Chen replied matter-of-factly. Pirates, hostile aliens, cosmic phenomena. Our ships need to protect their populations. Every defensive system you saw has a civilian purpose. Dr. Voss pulled up technical data. The Council should understand human engineering philosophy. They don't build single-purpose vessels. Every component serves multiple functions. Chen nodded. Our main guns can destroy asteroids threatening colonies. Shield generators protect against radiation storms. Manufacturing bays produce everything, from medical supplies to emergency shelters. We build for survival, not conquest. Yet the result is ships that could conquer the galaxy, General Korvac pointed out. Could, yes, Chen agreed, but won't. Conquest is inefficient. We prefer trade, cooperation, and mutual defense. Over the following hours, Chen answered hundreds of questions. She explained human history, philosophy, and engineering. The picture that emerged was both reassuring and terrifying. Humans truly seemed peaceful, but their idea of reasonable precautions would make them the dominant military power in the galaxy. Admiral, Thrain asked, What does humanity want from the galactic community? Partnership, Chen answered immediately. We have much to offer. Our ships can protect trade routes, assist with disasters, and help develop new worlds. In return, we'd like access to galactic markets, knowledge, and friendship. And if the Council refuses? Chen's expression didn't change. Then we'll continue on our way. The galaxy is large. We can find uninhabited systems to develop, but we'd prefer to work together. The implicit threat was clear without being stated. Humans didn't need the Council's permission to be here. They were offering cooperation, not asking for it. Counselor Zephyr of the Traders Guild raised a tentacle. Admiral, you mention offering protection. From what? Whatever might threaten galactic civilization, Chen replied. Pirates, hostile aliens, natural disasters. Humans are good at solving problems. But we have our own defense forces, General Korvac protested. Chen pulled up star charts showing recent pirate activity, trade route attacks, and unexplored regions with potential threats. Your forces do excellent work within known space. But what about the unknown regions? What about threats you haven't encountered yet? She highlighted areas beyond current galactic borders. Our long-range scouts have detected concerning activities in several sectors. Ancient automated systems still functioning. Signs of aggressive expansion by unknown species. Cosmic phenomena that could threaten entire star systems. The Council representatives studied the data with growing alarm. Human sensors apparently reached much further than anything they possessed. You've discovered threats we don't know about? Thrain asked. Potential threats, Chen corrected. Nothing immediate, but humans plan ahead. We're already developing countermeasures for problems that might emerge in decades or centuries. Dr. Voss added her analysis. This is typical human behavior. They identify every possible threat and prepare solutions in advance. What seems like paranoia to us is just good planning to them. Admiral, Counselor Yith asked, how many humans are there? Chen consulted her data. On Earth, about 12 billion. In space, another 8 billion across our various fleets and colonies. We're growing quickly. 20 billion humans, most living on ships that could challenge galactic fleets. The numbers were staggering. And your technology level? General Korvac asked. We're still learning, Chen replied modestly. Earth science focused on survival and engineering. We're excellent at building things that work under extreme conditions, but we'd love to learn from galactic knowledge in other fields. The questioning continued for hours. Chen answered everything patiently, providing data and technical specifications when requested. The picture of humanity that emerged was of a species that treated galactic-level challenges as everyday engineering problems. Admiral, Thrain finally asked, what would you consider a fair arrangement between humanity and the Council? Simple. Cooperation, Chen replied. We'll share our technology and capabilities. You share your knowledge and markets. When threats emerge, we work together to solve them. And if we disagree on how to handle a threat, then we'll discuss it like civilized people, Chen said. But ultimately, humans will do what we think is necessary to protect ourselves and our friends. After Chen disconnected, the council chamber buzzed with debate. The humans were offering to become the galaxy's protectors, but protection implied control. How do you say no to someone offering help when they have the power to help themselves to whatever they want? They're not asking permission, Thrain observed to her advisors during another break. They're informing us of their intentions. Because they don't need permission, Dr. Voss replied. A single human exploration group has more firepower than all council forces combined. They're being polite because they want to be, not because they have to be. The final vote was closer than anyone expected. In the end, the council officially welcomed humanity as a new member species with full rights and privileges. The alternative, treating them as a threat, was simply too dangerous. As the delegates filed out, General Korvac approached Thrain. Speaker, We just voted to let someone else become the strongest military power in the galaxy. No, General, Thrain replied, watching the stars through the chamber's great windows. We just acknowledged that someone else already is the strongest military power in the galaxy. The only question was whether we wanted them as friends or strangers. In the distance, barely visible as a bright dot, the Leviathan waited patiently for the Council's decision. Aboard the massive ship, millions of humans continued their daily lives, unaware that they had just become the galaxy's unofficial guardians, whether the galaxy wanted guardians or not. 6 months after first contact, the galaxy was still adjusting to humanity's presence. Cultural exchange programs had been established on dozens of worlds. Human technology slowly filtered into galactic markets. Trade agreements were signed. On the surface, everything seemed normal, but underneath, everyone knew things had changed forever. Dr. Kaylin Morose, the Council's chief xenopsychologist, sat in her office reviewing the latest reports from human-inhabited systems. As a Vailthani with silver skin and large, dark eyes, she was naturally empathic. This gift helped her understand alien psychology. With humans, however, she often felt overwhelmed. A soft chime announced a visitor. Admiral Chen entered, looking as calm and composed as always. Over the months, she had become humanity's unofficial ambassador to the Council. Dr. Morose, Chen greeted her. Thank you for seeing me. Admiral, please, sit. I've been wanting to discuss some observations with you. Chen settled into the specially designed chair that accommodated human anatomy. What can I help clarify? Kellen pulled up holographic displays showing data from human settlements. Admiral, I'm trying to understand something. Every species has limits. Resource constraints, technological barriers, population pressures, but humans seem to ignore these limits. We work around them, Chen corrected gently. But how? Kellen gestured at the data. This colony on Xerion Prime. The planet has no atmosphere and constant radiation storms. No species could survive there, yet humans have built a thriving city. Xerion offers excellent mining opportunities, Chen explained. The radiation is manageable with proper shielding. We've created an artificial atmosphere using atmospheric processors. Atmospheric processors that don't exist, Kellen pointed out. You invented them. We needed them, so we built them. Chen's tone suggested this was obvious. Kellen pulled up more examples. This ocean world, Thalassa. The entire planet is covered in storms that would destroy most ships, yet humans have underwater cities throughout the ocean basins. Fish farming and mineral extraction, Chen noted. Plus we enjoy swimming, but the pressure would crush any known vessel. So we designed better vessels. Kellen felt that familiar sense of being overwhelmed. To humans, impossible challenges were simply engineering problems waiting for solutions. Admiral, let me ask directly, is there anything humans consider impossible? Chen thought for a moment. Many things are impossible with current technology, but impossible permanently? That's harder to say. Our history teaches us that yesterday's impossibility becomes tomorrow's normal. She gestured, and her personal data display showed images from Earth's history. 500 years ago, humans thought flying was impossible. 200 years ago, we thought space travel was impossible. 100 years ago, faster-than-light travel was impossible. But surely there are theoretical limits, Kellen pressed. Theoretical. Limits change when we understand more about the universe, Chen replied. We used to think the speed of light was absolute. Then we discovered hyperspace. We thought matter couldn't be created or destroyed. Then we learned about quantum fluctuations. Kellen reviewed more data. Human colonies existed in places no other species would attempt to settle. Around unstable stars, in asteroid fields, on worlds with toxic atmospheres or extreme gravity. Each time, humans had simply built whatever technology they needed to survive. Your species treats hostile environments as opportunities, Kellen observed. Hostile environments teach innovation, Chen agreed. Earth was never a gentle world. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts. We learned early that if you can't change the environment, you change yourself. A communication alert interrupted them. Chen listened to her earpiece, then looked apologetic. "Dr. Moros, I'm needed at the construction site. Would you like to see what we're building?" 30 minutes later, they stood on an observation platform overlooking the Nexus Prime construction project. Below them, human engineers worked with local contractors to build something unprecedented in galactic history. A orbital shipyard, Chen explained, capable of producing vessels up to 15 kilometers in length. Kellen stared at the massive framework taking shape. "You're building this for the Council?" "Partnership project. We provide the technology and expertise. The Council provides materials and local knowledge. Together, we'll create ships that can serve both human and galactic needs." Ships for what purpose? Exploration, defense, disaster, relief. Whatever the galaxy needs. Kellen watched human workers coordinate with a dozen alien species. The humans didn't dominate the project, but they clearly led it. Their technology was simply more advanced, their planning more comprehensive. "Admiral, may I ask about Earth's history? I'm trying to understand how your species developed such comprehensive approaches to survival." Chen nodded. "Earth experienced 5 major extinction events before humans evolved. Each one killed most life on the planet. When our species appeared, we inherited a world that had repeatedly died and been reborn." They walked through the construction site as Chen continued. Early humans faced ice ages that lasted tens of thousands of years, volcanic winters that blocked the sun for decades, diseases that killed 9 out of 10 people. We survived because we learned to prepare for the worst possible scenarios. But other species faced disasters too, Kellen pointed out. True, but most species develop on stable worlds. Their disasters are floods, earthquakes, storms. Bad, but survivable. Earth's disasters were existential. Total biosphere collapse, global ice, mass starvation. We learned that anything less than complete preparation meant extinction. They stopped at a section where human technicians were installing some kind of advanced machinery. The local workers watched in amazement as the humans casually manipulated technology that seemed almost magical. "This is a matter compiler," Chen explained. "It can transform raw elements into any structure we need. Very useful for emergency construction." "Matter compilers are theoretical technology," Kellen said weakly. "They were. We needed them for asteroid mining, so we figured out how to make them work." Kellen felt dizzy. "How do you just figure out impossible technology?" "Same way you figure out anything else. Study the problem, test solutions, improve what works." Chen paused. "Though I suppose humans might approach it differently than other species." "How so?" "Most species seem to accept limits. When they hit a technological barrier, they work around it or give up. Humans assume the barrier exists because we don't understand something yet. So we keep pushing until we understand better." They visited more sections of the construction project. Human technology was everywhere, seamlessly integrated with galactic equipment. But the human additions always seemed more robust, more capable, more ready for extreme conditions. "Your people build everything like it might need to survive the end of the universe," Kellen observed. "Better safe than sorry," Chen replied cheerfully. Later, in the project's command center, Kellen met other members of the human team. Engineers, scientists, construction coordinators, all working with the same calm confidence that seemed to define their species. "Dr. Moros," said Chief Engineer Rodriguez, "Admiral Chen mentioned you're studying human psychology. Anything specific you'd like to know?" "How do you decide what's worth attempting?" Kellen asked. "Most species have clear boundaries, things they consider too difficult or too dangerous. But humans seem to attempt anything." Rodriguez laughed. "Humans attempt everything at least once. If it doesn't kill us, we figure out how to do it better. But surely, you recognize some limits. Short-term limits, sure. We can't build faster than light travel without exotic matter. We can't create energy from nothing. We can't time travel. Rodriguez paused. Yet? Well, we said the same thing about flying, space travel, and FTL drives. Give us time. Dr. Sarah Kim, the project's xenobiologist, joined the conversation. Dr. Moros, I think the difference is cultural. Most species develop science to understand the universe. Humans develop science to change the universe. Change it how? Make it more survivable, more predictable, more useful. Kim pulled up displays showing human research projects. We're working on ways to stabilize unstable stars, methods to redirect dangerous asteroids, techniques to terraform hostile worlds in decades instead of millennia. Kellen studied the research data. These projects could take centuries to complete. Probably, Kim agreed. That's why we start now. But why? Your species is already successful. You have safe colonies, powerful ships, advanced technology. Why keep pushing for more? Kim and Rodriguez exchanged glances. Rodriguez answered, because safe isn't safe enough. There are always bigger threats, worse disasters, more extreme challenges. The universe is vast and dangerous. We can either keep improving our ability to survive it, or eventually it will kill us. You see the universe as hostile? Kellen realized. Not hostile exactly, Kim corrected. Indifferent. The universe doesn't care if we live or die, so we have to care enough for both of us. As the day ended, Kellen walked with Admiral Chen back to the observation platform. The construction site glowed with lights as work continued around the clock. Human crews worked alongside dozens of alien species, sharing knowledge and techniques. Admiral, one final question, Kellen said. What does humanity ultimately want? What's the end goal of all this preparation and expansion? Chen looked out at the stars for a long moment. Survival. Not just for humans, but for intelligence itself. The universe is 14 billion years old. Complex life has existed for maybe 4 billion years, but it's fragile. A gamma ray burst, a rogue black hole, a cosmic disaster we haven't imagined yet could end everything. So, you're preparing for cosmic disasters? We're preparing for anything. If intelligence is going to survive the lifetime of the universe, it needs to be ready for challenges we can't even imagine yet. Someone has to take the long view. Kellen felt a chill. You see yourselves as guardians of galactic civilization. We see ourselves as backup plans, Chen corrected. If other species can handle whatever comes, great. But if they can't, we want to be ready to help. And if we don't want help, Chen's expression remained pleasant. Then we'll respect your choice, but we'll still be ready just in case. As they parted ways, Kellen understood something that both impressed and terrified her. Humans hadn't joined galactic civilization. They had appointed themselves its guardians. Not out of arrogance or desire for control, but out of a deep conviction that someone needed to prepare for the worst possible scenarios. Whether the galaxy wanted that protection or not, humanity was determined to provide it. Because in their view, the alternative was extinction for everyone. Back in her office, Kellen began writing her report for the Council. How do you explain that humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy might also be its greatest threat? A species, so committed to survival that they were willing to take responsibility for everyone else's survival too. Outside her window, human ships moved through space with purposeful efficiency, building, exploring, preparing, always preparing for challenges that might never come. But if they did come, the galaxy would be ready, whether it wanted to be or not. The first signs appeared on the edge of Sector Gamma 7. Ships vanishing without distress calls, automated mining stations going silent, long-range sensors detecting movement where nothing should exist. Within weeks, the pattern became clear and terrifying. The Devourers had returned. Council Speaker Thrain stood before the emergency assembly, her usually composed features tight with worry. The great chamber buzzed with fearful whispers in dozens of languages. Ancient histories spoke of these machines, but most species considered them myths. "The archaeological core has confirmed our worst fears," Thrain announced. "Analysis of debris from attacked systems matches descriptions from the archives, self-replicating war machines from the previous galactic civilization." General Korvac's scaled hide had paled to a sickly gray. "How many ships are we tracking?" Dr. Yeneth, the ethereal archaeologist, consulted her data crystals. Initial swarm contained approximately 50,000 units. Based on their replication rate, they could number in the millions within months. Silence fell over the chamber. The numbers were impossible to fight. The combined fleet of the Galactic Council contained maybe 10,000 ships total. Even if every species contributed their entire military, they would be outnumbered 100 to 1. "What are our options?" asked Councillor Vexhan, representative of the mining guilds. General Korvac reviewed tactical data with growing despair. "Fight and lose, run and hope they don't follow, or—" He paused, clearly reluctant to continue. "Or what, General?" Thrain prompted. "Ask the humans for help." The chamber erupted in debate. Relations with humanity had been tense since their arrival. Their casual displays of overwhelming power made everyone nervous. But as the arguing continued, more reports arrived. Entire systems evacuated, refugee fleets fleeing toward Council space. The Devourers were advancing faster than predicted. "Contact Admiral Chen," Thrain ordered. The holographic display activated, showing the bridge of the Leviathan. Admiral Chen appeared, but something was different. Her usual calm demeanor carried an undertone of focused intensity. Behind her, the bridge hummed with purposeful activity. "Speaker Thrain," Chen greeted. "I assume this is about the situation in Gamma 7. "You know about the Devourers?" Thrain asked, surprised. "We've been tracking them for 3 months," Chen replied matter-of-factly. "Long-range sensors detected the initial swarm emergence. We've been monitoring their expansion pattern." 3 months? General Korvac leaned forward. "Why didn't you inform the Council?" "We needed to confirm the threat level and prepare appropriate responses," Chen explained. "The good news is that these aren't the original Devourers. They're degraded copies. Less efficient, less adaptable." "Less efficient how?" Dr. Yeneth asked. Chen gestured to someone off-screen, and technical data appeared on the display. Original Devourers could replicate any technology they encountered. These versions are limited to their base programming. They can only build what they already know. "That's still enough to destroy galactic civilization," Thrain pointed out. "Under normal circumstances, yes," Chen agreed. "But we've developed countermeasures." The chamber fell silent. General Korvac found his voice first. "Countermeasures? Already?" "Humans plan ahead," Chen reminded him. "When we discovered evidence of the previous civilization's fate, we began developing responses to potential machine threats. Standard protocol." "Standard protocol," Thrain repeated weakly. Chen nodded. Historical analysis indicated several possible extinction scenarios. Machine rebellion was high on the list. "We've been working on solutions for decades." Another voice spoke from the Leviathan's bridge. "Admiral, the fleet is ready for deployment." Chen turned back to the Council. "Speaker Thrain, the Galactic Council has 3 options. First, evacuate threatened systems and hope the Devourers lose interest. Second, attempt a conventional military response. Third, allow humanity to handle the situation." "What would handling the situation involve?" Thrain asked. "Complete elimination of the Devourer threat using specialized anti-machine warfare protocols." General Korvac studied the tactical displays. "Admiral, our combined fleets would be outnumbered 100 to 1. What makes you think human forces can succeed where we would fail?" Chen's expression remained neutral. "Different approach to the problem," Before anyone could ask for clarification, alerts began sounding throughout the chamber. A council aide rushed to Speaker Thrain with an urgent message crystal. "The Devourers have accelerated their advance," Thrain announced. "They've entered the Kepler cluster. 12 inhabited systems are directly threatened." "That's impossible," Dr. Yeneth protested. "They were 3 sectors away yesterday." Chen consulted her data. "They've learned to use captured ships as mobile replication platforms. Exponential growth. We estimate 48 hours before they reach the main trade routes." The council chamber erupted in panic. 48 hours to respond to a threat that could end civilization. Even if they voted immediately, it would take days to mobilize conventional forces. "Admiral," Thrain said urgently, "what do you need from us?" "Nothing," Chen replied. "We're already en route. But I should inform you that our response will be comprehensive." "Meaning what?" "Meaning we'll eliminate every trace of machine intelligence in the affected region. No survivors, no remnants, no possibility of resurgence." The implications were staggering. Chen was casually discussing the complete sterilization of dozens of star systems. "Admiral," Counselor Vexhan interjected, "there are mining operations in that region. Industrial platforms, automated systems. All machine intelligence will be eliminated," Chen repeated. "We'll provide compensation for destroyed infrastructure." General Korvac pulled up fleet deployment data. "Admiral, how many ships are you committing to this operation?" "The 7th Fleet. Roughly 300 vessels. 300 ships against millions of Devourers." The numbers made no sense. "Unless..." "Admiral," Thrain asked carefully, "what class of vessels are in the 7th Fleet?" "Mixed composition. 15 Leviathan-class command ships, 40 Behemoth-class heavy industrial vessels, 60 Titan-class research platforms, and supporting units." Dr. Yeneth performed quick calculations. "Admiral, that's more combined mass than the entire Council. Fleet." "The 7th Fleet specializes in deep space operations," Chen explained. "They're equipped for extended campaigns in hostile environments." "Against machine intelligence specifically?" General Korvac asked. "Among other threats." The casual way Chen discussed deploying weapons of such magnitude was unsettling. To humans, apparently, fleet-killing armadas were just another tool in the toolbox. "Speaker," Chen continued, "I need authorization to operate in Council space. My ships will follow all applicable laws of war, but the Devourer threat requires immediate action." Thrain looked around the chamber. Fear and desperation warred with pride and independence. No species wanted to admit they needed protection, but the alternative was extinction. "The Council authorizes human intervention," Thrain announced, "with full military command authority in the affected regions." "Understood. We'll begin operations immediately." Chen's image flickered out, leaving the Council in stunned silence. They had just handed control of galactic security to a species they still barely understood. 6 hours later, reports began arriving from the combat zone. The human fleet had engaged the Devourers near the Kepler cluster. Initial reports made no sense. "The humans aren't fighting them," General Korvac announced, reading the latest data. "They're talking to them?" "Talking?" Thrain asked. "Broadcasting on machine frequencies, some kind of code transmission." Dr. Yeneth reviewed the technical analysis. "It appears to be a computer virus, extremely sophisticated. It's rewriting the Devourer's base programming." "Rewriting it how?" "Changing their replication targets. Instead of building more war machines, they're building something else." The something else became clear over the following hours. Across the affected systems, Devourers began constructing elaborate structures. Not weapons or ships, but massive computational arrays and industrial platforms. "They're building infrastructure," Dr. Yeneth reported in amazement. "Mining facilities, manufacturing centers, research stations. The virus has turned them into construction workers." General Korvac studied the tactical displays with growing confusion. "But where are the human ships?" I don't see any combat activity. The answer came 12 hours later when Admiral Chen contacted the Council again. She appeared relaxed, almost bored. Speaker Thrain, the Devourer threat has been neutralized. All machine units in the affected region are now operating under human control. Under human control? Thrain repeated. We've reprogrammed them to serve galactic civilization. They're currently building industrial infrastructure that should benefit local economies. You turned weapons of mass destruction into construction equipment? Waste not, want not, Chen replied with a slight smile. Those machines represent trillions of credits worth of rare materials and advanced technology. Destroying them would be inefficient. General Korvac found his voice. Admiral, how did you develop countermeasures so quickly? We didn't develop them quickly. We've had anti-machine warfare protocols for 40 years. This was just the first time we needed to use them. 40 years, Thrain said weakly. You've been preparing for this specific threat for 40 years. Among others, human strategic planning covers thousands of potential extinction scenarios. Machine rebellion, alien invasion, cosmic disasters, reality breakdown, hostile AI, time paradoxes. Time paradoxes? Dr. Yeneth interrupted. Theoretical risk. But we have contingency plans just in case. The council chamber sat in stunned silence. Humanity had just casually solved a crisis that threatened to end galactic civilization. With technology they had developed decades ago as one item on a very long list of things to worry about. Admiral, Thrain asked, what other threats have you prepared for? Chen consulted a datapad. Do you want the full list? It's quite extensive. Give us an overview. Extra-dimensional invasion, reality manipulation, temporal warfare, universe-ending cosmic events, hostile godlike entities, matter breakdown, quantum decoherence. Chen paused. Should I continue? Hostile godlike entities? General Korvac's voice cracked. Purely theoretical. But if something claiming divine power shows up and starts making demands, we'll be ready. Thrain realized that humanity's casual approach to impossible threats was both the galaxy's greatest blessing and its most terrifying reality. They had turned species-ending disasters into engineering problems to be solved. Admiral, on behalf of the Galactic Council, thank you. How can we repay this debt? No debt necessary, Chen replied. Protecting galactic civilization benefits everyone. But if you want to help, we could use more detailed star charts for the outer regions. Our deep space scouts have detected some, concerning anomalies. Concerning how? Signs of activity from several unknown civilizations, possibly hostile. We're developing appropriate responses, but better intelligence would be helpful. More threats. More challenges that humans were already preparing to meet. Thrain wondered if there was any crisis that wouldn't prompt Chen to respond with calm competence and prepared solutions. We'll provide whatever intelligence data you need, Thrain promised. Excellent. Oh, and Speaker, you might want to upgrade your early warning systems. The Devourers were just scouts for something much larger. We estimate 3 to 5 years, before the main threat emerges. The connection ended, leaving the council in horrified silence. The Devourers had been scouts. The crisis that nearly destroyed galactic civilization was just a preview. But somewhere in deep space, human fleets were already moving to meet the real threat, prepared, confident, and utterly determined to ensure that galactic civilization survived whatever the universe threw at it, whether the galaxy understood that protection or not. 2 years had passed since the Devourer incident. The galaxy had settled into an uneasy new normal. Human ships patrolled the outer regions. Trade flowed more freely under their protection. Pirates had largely disappeared after several encounters, with human merchant escorts that were larger than most battle fleets. But everyone knew this peace was temporary. The main Devourer fleet was coming. Long-range sensors detected it moving through deep space like a mechanical plague. Billions of ships, each one capable of replicating itself. When they arrived, they would sweep across the galaxy, consuming everything in their path, unless humanity stopped them. Council Speaker Thrain stood in the observation deck of Nexus Prime's defense station, watching human preparations. In the distance, massive ships moved with purposeful efficiency. Not the exploration vessels they had first encountered, but something far more ominous. Admiral Chen materialized beside her as a hologram, projected from the command ship Absolute. The vessel hung in space like a metal planet, dwarfing even the Leviathan-class ships nearby. "Speaker Thrain," Chen greeted. "I wanted to brief you on our defensive preparations." "Admiral, that ship you're on, how large is it?" "The Absolute is our mobile command center, 90 kilometers long, designed for system-level operations." Thrain felt dizzy. 90 kilometers. The ship was larger than some moons. "How many people does it carry?" "Currently about 15 million. Full capacity is 50 million if needed." 50 million people on one ship? The Absolute isn't just a ship, it's a mobile civilization. If the worst happens, it can preserve human culture and knowledge indefinitely. Through the observation windows, Thrain could see dozens of other massive vessels. Each one was a nightmare of destructive potential disguised as industrial efficiency. "Admiral, how many ships do you have?" "For this operation, roughly 8,000 vessels of various classes, 8,000 ships. The Council's entire fleet numbered fewer than 12,000, and most of those were light patrol craft. Humanity had committed nearly a full galactic fleet to one battle." "That seems excessive for fighting machines," Thrain observed. "The Devourers are just the opening act," Chen replied calmly. "Our intelligence suggests they're scouts for something much worse." "Worse how?" "The previous galactic civilization didn't fall to random machine rebellion. They were conquered by an intelligence that uses automated fleets as tools. We call them the Architects." Thrain felt cold. "You know what destroyed the previous civilization?" "We've been investigating for months. Ancient ruins, data fragments, survivor testimonies. The picture is becoming clear." Chen gestured, and holographic displays showed archaeological data. Ancient weapons tests, massive construction projects, signs of desperate preparation for some ultimate threat. The Architects exist outside normal space-time. They periodically emerge to harvest advanced civilizations. The Devourers are their collection tools. Harvest civilizations for what? Resources, knowledge, technology. They strip away everything useful and leave dead worlds behind. Thrain studied the data with growing horror. "When do you estimate they'll arrive?" "They're already here." The words hit like a physical blow. "What?" "Our deep space monitoring arrays detected dimensional rifts opening throughout the galaxy. The Architects have been observing us for weeks, gathering intelligence before their main assault." "Then why? Haven't they attacked?" Chen smiled grimly. "Because they're trying to understand what humans are. We don't fit their models." Outside the windows, more human ships continued arriving. Massive industrial vessels, sleek research platforms, and angular. Warships that looked like they could crack planets. "Admiral, what makes humans different from previous civilizations?" "Most species develop technology to improve their lives, make things easier, more comfortable, more efficient. The Architects understand this mindset. They can predict how such civilizations will respond to threats." Chen paused, watching her ships maneuver through space with mechanical precision. "Humans develop technology to survive the impossible. We build for scenarios that haven't happened yet, threats we haven't encountered, challenges we can't imagine. The Architects have never faced a species that treats galactic extinction as a routine engineering problem. So they're hesitating? They're analyzing, trying to determine our capabilities before committing to full invasion. Unfortunately for them, they've given us time to prepare." A communication alert interrupted them. Chen listened to her earpiece, then nodded with satisfaction. Speaker, the outer perimeter is reporting contact. The Devourer fleet has entered our sensor range. How many ships? Current count is 14 billion individual units. 14 billion ships. The number was incomprehensible. Even if each council vessel could destroy 1,000 Devourers, they would still be overwhelmed. Admiral, how do you fight 14 billion ships? Efficiently, Chen replied. Would you like to observe the engagement? Minutes later, Thrain found herself in the Absolute's command center. The space was vast enough to hold a small city. Thousands of human officers worked at stations arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Holographic displays showed the approaching Devourer swarm as a cloud of red dots stretching across multiple star systems. Tactical assessment, Chen ordered. A younger officer responded immediately. Standard Devourer configuration, replication, ships, resource gatherers, and combat units. No adaptation to human countermeasures detected. Expected, Chen noted. They're still using original programming. Weapons free. What followed was unlike any battle Thrain had ever witnessed. The human fleet didn't charge into combat or fire massive volleys of weapons. Instead, they released clouds of tiny objects that spread through space like silver dust. Nanoscale intervention units, Chen explained as Thrain watched in confusion. They'll rewrite the Devourer's base code at the molecular level. You're using nanotechnology? Among other approaches, the silver clouds reached the Devourer swarm and seemed to disappear. For several minutes, nothing visible happened. Then the red dots on the tactical display began changing color. First a few dozen, then hundreds, then thousands. Conversion rate is exceeding projections, an officer reported. Estimate 90% success rate within 6 hours. What's happening to them? Thrain asked. We're reprogramming them to serve galactic civilization. The converted units will help rebuild systems damaged by the original invasion. Thrain watched 14 billion war machines transform into construction equipment. The process was so smooth, so effortless, that it seemed almost casual. Admiral, this seems too easy. It is too easy, Chen agreed. The Devourers are expendable. The real threat is still coming. As if summoned by her words, new contacts appeared on the displays. Massive rifts tore open in space-time itself. Through them came ships that hurt, to look at directly. Geometric impossibilities that violated physics and twisted reality around them. Architect fleet emerging, an officer announced. Count is uncertain. They're existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Architect. Ships were nightmares of advanced technology. They phased in and out of normal space, appeared in multiple locations at once, and radiated energy signatures that made nearby stars flicker. Now we see their true capabilities, Chen observed with professional interest. Can you fight those? Thrain asked. We're about to find out. The human fleet began to transform. Ships that had looked like mobile cities suddenly bristled with weapons that bent light around them. Energy fields expanded between vessels, creating geometric patterns that seemed to anchor reality itself. Initiating dimensional stabilization, an officer reported. Reality anchors are holding the local space-time matrix stable. You can stabilize reality? Thrain asked weakly. Standard procedure when fighting transdimensional entities, Chen replied. Can't have them shifting between dimensions mid-battle. The Architect ships seemed surprised to find themselves locked into normal space. They responded by firing weapons, that unmade matter at the quantum level. Beams of pure entropy that should have erased anything they touched. The human ships absorbed the attacks without visible damage. How? Thrain breathed. Entropy reversal fields, Chen explained casually. We developed them for fighting thermodynamic weapons. Very useful technology. The battle escalated quickly. Architect ships began deploying reality-warping devices that changed the laws of physics in localized areas. Gravity reversed. time flowed backward, matter spontaneously transformed into energy. The human response was methodical and overwhelming. They deployed weapons that Thrain couldn't even comprehend. Probability manipulation devices that made enemy. Shots miss by changing the nature of chance itself. Causal disruptors that prevented attacks by ensuring they had never been fired. Conceptual erasers that removed the idea of enemy ships from reality. "How long have you been preparing for this?" Thrain asked in amazement. "Specifically for the architects? About 18 months? For trans-dimensional threats in general? Roughly 60 years? 60 years of preparation for a threat that most species had never imagined. The scope of human planning was staggering. The architect fleet began to retreat. Ships that had casually violated physics fled back to their dimensional rifts. As they withdrew, they left behind automated messages in dozens of galactic languages. Chen listened to the translation with satisfaction. "They're declaring this galaxy under human protection. Any further interference will result in what they call asymmetric retaliation." "They're afraid of you," Thrain realized. "They're being practical. The architects have harvested thousands of galaxies. They recognize when they've encountered a superior force." "Superior how?" Chen gestured at the tactical displays showing human ships cleaning up the aftermath. "Most civilizations develop technology to solve current problems. Humans develop technology to solve future problems. The architects have never encountered a species that was already prepared for threats they hadn't deployed yet." As the dimensional rifts collapsed and normal space returned, Thrain tried to process what she had witnessed. Humanity had just defeated entities that destroyed entire galactic civilizations. They had done it with technology developed decades before the threat even appeared. "Admiral, what happens now?" "Now we improve our preparations," Chen replied. "The architects weren't the worst-case scenario. They were just this cycle's extinction threat." "There are worse threats?" "Almost certainly. The universe is vast and old. Somewhere out there are challenges we haven't imagined yet. But that's fine. Humans are good at imagining." 6 months later, Thrain stood once again on Nexus Prime's observation deck. The galaxy had changed. Human ships patrolled every system. Trade moved under their protection. Pirates, hostile aliens, and cosmic disasters were met with swift, efficient responses. But it was more than protection. Human technology flowed freely to allied species. Worlds that had struggled with resource shortages now had matter compilers. Systems threatened by stellar instability had star stabilization devices. Ancient problems that had plagued galactic civilization for millennia were solved with casual human competence. Admiral Chen joined her on the observation deck, no longer appearing as a hologram. She seemed relaxed and pleased with the galaxy's progress. "Any regrets, Speaker?" Chen asked. "About what?" "About humanity becoming the galaxy's unofficial guardians. I know it wasn't what you expected when we first made contact." Thrain considered the question. The galaxy had lost some independence. Decisions that once belonged to the Council were now made by human strategic planners. But the benefits were undeniable. Peace, prosperity, and protection from threats that no other species could handle. "No regrets," Thrain said finally. "Though I have to ask, what's humanity's long-term plan?" "Same as always. Survive and help others survive. The universe is dangerous, but it's also beautiful. We want to make sure intelligence has a chance to experience all of it. Even if that means controlling galactic civilization?" "We're not controlling anything," Chen protested mildly. "We're just making sure everyone has backup plans. Backup plans that involve fleets capable of reshaping reality. Better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them." Through the observation windows, human ships moved through space with purposeful efficiency. Building, exploring, preparing, always preparing for the next challenge. "Admiral, one final question. Is there any threat that would actually worry you?" Chen thought for a moment. Heat death of the universe. But we're working on that too. Thrain laughed despite herself. Of course they were working on preventing the heat death of the universe. Because to humans, even the end of everything was just another engineering problem waiting for a solution. The galaxy had gained more than protectors. It had gained a species so determined to survive that they were willing to ensure everyone else survived too. Whether that was protection or conquest depended on your perspective. But as Thrain watched human ships disappear into hyperspace, heading out to face whatever challenges awaited in the vast darkness between galaxies, she knew one thing for certain. The universe had never encountered anything like humanity, and it might never recover from the experience in the best possible way.